Welcome to the video for today. We have the new Nissan Z and we have Jonathan, who installed all these parts at Go Racebox. He is an employee there, and Hussein is one of my friends that owns Go Racebox, which he tunes VR30s. So we're gonna go over the car, see what he installed, and check out the arms and all of the spiciness that this thing has to offer. All right, let's get a check out. All right, as you can see, Z1 arms, Z1 sway bar, fuel coilovers, which we'll probably check out in a little bit, traction rod, camber arm, tow arm, Z1 links, Z1 everything. Oh, they put this bushing in, which I know they freaking struggled with. Yeah, so they got the solid bushing. And what else? Any other suspension things we should add for tidbits? Oh my God, look at this cooling cover. That thing's sick. Probably a pain in the ass to put on, huh?
Oh, pretty easy.
Pretty easy? Okay, we usually don't run that stuff. Yeah, so Z1 end links, Z1 sway bar up front. And yeah, this is the underneath. Still looks minty clean. Do you know how many miles are on this thing? 1,600 miles on it, man. And we're gonna mess it up. Yeah, so, yep, got the big wheels. Do you know how much power this thing makes yet?
Mid-fours.
Mid-fours, so I'm sure it's gonna get faster. Did you guys put turbos on it?
No, not yet.
Not yet. What turbos y'all got for it?
Z1 turbo kit.
Z1 turbo kit. How much power do you think it's gonna make after that?
I don't know, it can make a lot.
About to make a lot. All right, so we're gonna lower this thing, get the heads on, and yeah, give it a go.
Bada bing, bada boom.
All right, the wheels are coming off. We're gonna do a quick nut and bolt. Look at these freaking massive rotors. Yeah, so they got this sweet upper control arm that's new, that just came out. And let's take a look back here. We're gonna check the measurements, make sure that the coilovers are even. And we're gonna do a quick nut and bolt. You can see the Z1 feel coilover. They did branding together. Looks pretty nice, looks pretty clean. And yep. We will get this thing on there soon and get the numbers going. See what it does. Looks exactly like a 370Z underneath, I think. Did you notice any differences? No? No? Okay. But I do like these. I'm pretty sure they're Z1, right? Z1 uppers? Yeah. Dang, yeah, they definitely came a long way, because before I wouldn't even acknowledge Z1 upper control arm, so I do think these look very nice. All right, so on the traction rods, you want to make sure that these are dead even on the threads and make sure it's the correct length. It looks like I was about half a turn off on this, which I was probably didn't, because I didn't have a dial caliper at the time. So I'm just going to do half a turn down, and that's going to make me exactly where I need to be. And then boom, it was just this single one versus there's threads on both sides. But I finally had the dial caliper because I did this at the race box, kind of did it like a quick setup. So I'm fixing that now. And then we're gonna put it back on. And then everything's gonna be matching. Also, when you're tightening the traction arms or any of the arms, you wanna make sure that the heim is straight up and down, and you don't want it binding because it'll eat the insides, because it's metal on the inside. So you'll eat the actual heim itself if you have it twisted and cocked any other way, which is easy to do when you're tightening it, because when you're tightening it, it'll fold over. So you want to make sure this is straight up and down. And the traction rods, you want to make sure everything's nice and tight and set up before you actually get your alignment done. All right, on to the next. All right, so quick nut and bolt, wheels back on. We're taping the wheels. If you guys notice, these are the heads that we use. For one, the newer style ones that clamp around the wheel usually will get caught right here in the fender well. So we choose the ones that go on the rim, which seems more of a direct fit because they're clamped to the wheel, and that I think it's better overall, especially when you have weird soft tires and stuff that can be a little bit different in certain areas, and then trying to get that thing centered. Anyway, so I prefer the wheel clamps over the wheel or the tire clamps. All right, let's get this going. Yep. So got one wheel clamp on. You can take a look. Kind of try to get it set up straight up and down. Then we have this little level gauge, which we get that. So that means that the head is perfectly straight up and down. And then yeah, we got 4 more clamps to put on. All right, let's do this. We're gonna do the first roll compensation. As you can see, he rolls it back. It's gonna pick up the heads up there and tell us exactly where our numbers are off for our base. And let's see if it's spooky. It is definitely spooky. It is all over the place. But it's not a bad start. We're gonna, wow, okay. I don't know what happened there. But yeah, so we're gonna start in the back because the back determines what the front's gonna look like. And we're gonna probably set everything at 0, squat it down, see what kind of numbers it has. I already kind of know from doing 370s that it gains a lot of camber. And yeah, the toe is actually pretty good on these cars, like the curve of it. Yeah, so we'll set everything to 0, come back, and to tell you, we do camber first, and then these eccentrics, we want them straight up and down, because if you move these, it changes the geometry and the projection of the actual arm. So it's almost like changing a pickup point if you don't exactly have every single one the same. So I can already see we need to fix this one. This one's slightly off. That's probably why we have slightly different camber, because these are the camber arms. And yes, so make sure that you have these exactly centered when doing your alignment, or else you might get different toe or camber under compression, different numbers. And yeah, so we're gonna set everything to 0 and we'll check back in. All right, let's go underneath this thing. As we set everything to 0, he fixed the eccentric back there, put it straight up and down. And then now, as you can see, we're getting the toe numbers close. So we're spinning these guys. This is the toe arm. And one thing when installing parts is you want to make sure, you see how there's threads on each side? These are, we collapse them all the way in, and then we twist them from the middle, and both threads come out exactly the same. So it's exactly the same threads on each side, and you don't have to question how many threads you have left. The biggest mistake people do is they'll twist only one side, and then I have to pull all the arms off, and then they get charged a lot, because then we have to start the whole process of putting the arms on back from scratch because they were installed incorrectly. But here you can see he's getting the camber toe. They kind of move together. See, so you kind of have to do a couple turns because everything's way out of whack. But the closer he gets, you know, the more evenly distributed everything will be. So let's see. Toe is at 0, camber is at positive 0.2. And watch this. Just a couple turns is going to throw off toe. Boom. So, but we're getting it leveled out. And think of it like a table where you even out a table where it has threads at the bottom. So we're gonna get this completely flat, and then we're gonna get the same thing in the front. This is kind of like the rough start to everything, is getting everything to 0 and then trying to squat it. Watch, I bet you can actually see the car lifting up from here to here. You see that? So we're gonna do major changes to this thing. Look at that. Look at how far the alignment rack is out of whack, or like the actual turning plate. And you'll see the closer and closer we get to the alignment, the less and less this plate will move from our adjustment. And then this has an effect on this. So here is our numbers currently. Now we're gonna chase the front. All right, now that we have our alignment in the rear kind of situated, we're gonna do a caster sweep. As you can see, we're turning the wheels, following the machine, and we do this step quite often. Practically, this is probably the most important thing checking, because you can cause a pull if you don't have the caster exactly the same. So we're taking the measurement right now. Hopefully it's close, and we're gonna see what kind of numbers we got. Okay, 7.5 and 7.6. That's actually a really good start. We'll probably end up reducing that by a little bit, but that's definitely a good start, especially since we're going to pull out probably about 2 degrees of camber. And so the first thing we're going to do is probably try to get it to 1 degree of negative camber, and maybe 7.5, 7, depending on what it looks like inside the wheel arc. Basically, when we do about -1 on a drag car, we just leave it about -1, -0.08. So when it lifts up the front tires, especially on skinny tires, it can fall down to 0, and then that's when it's the most crucial point. Sometimes we put some droop in the coilovers, and then it makes the car a little bit more stable on launch. And then the caster, sometimes we make it super long depending on the horsepower, so maybe we could bump it up like to 8.5, 8. So then that way we can make the car more stable, you know, kind of extend the wheelbase a little bit. But yeah, we're gonna get these close to -1 and 7.5 and see what it looks like. So this one is at 2.9 right now, the camber. But watch, when we start pulling out camber, this whole ride is gonna lift up. And it's gonna visually look different, and it's gonna be taller. So we'll have to check back in on that, because it's kind of hard to film the adjustment process. We actually might have to raise this car up, because I don't think it's gonna clear this arms, or I mean the tire defender wheel, but we'll have to find out. All right, so we had to go on a little mission because the car was actually way too low to get the tools in, and it was gonna hit the fender liner if we didn't raise it up. So we raised it up about a 1/2 inch, and we kind of got everything squared away. So now we're gonna start the alignment process. So if you could tell, it kind of takes like a couple hours even to get to this process, to even start a basic alignment when you have brand new arms and everything. So this is gonna be the basis of the front, and then the rear is all zeroed out, 0, 0, 0 all the way around. He's gonna get a ratchet strap. We're gonna strap this down, and I do have more nerdy things than this that we do, but this is what I'm willing to show you. So he's got the ratchet strap going. He's trying to figure out where to place it. Oh wait, are you still zeroing everything out?
No, I'm making sure everything stays 0.
No, you're making everything stay 0, okay. So we're gonna go around the frame somewhere, and we're gonna ratchet strap the actual strap to the body, to the actual alignment rack. And as you can tell, all the turn plates are centered so that we get exactly the same amount of pressure on each side, because you don't want any of those sides to be in a bind. All right, let's go. All right, so we got the car squatted down, and we can go take a look. When we start at 0, we squat it down. It goes to -1 basically. So we could probably use a little bit of positive camber, probably not too much. I probably will only use about 0.1 positive, because this car will probably do digs and rolls. If it's just a dig car, then I might go a little bit more positive. And since this one is around -20, we need to account for that, as when it takes off, it's squatting down and it's falling out. So since we don't have the suspension to make it better, which would be like knuckle, like a different knuckle with different geometry, or actually moving the pickup points of where the actual arm sits, we'll probably go about positive 0.18, because you don't want to go too far, because it'll start eating up the tires. So positive 0.18, I think, is where we're gonna put it, and then it can, when it launches, it'll fall in that 0 area. But we'll manipulate these, and then we'll re-squat it and kind of check out, see what's happening next. All right. All right, so these are my numbers. Well, they're a little bit skewed from jacking it down and pulling it down and moving the car everywhere. So this is going to be our basic setup for this car. We ratchet strapped it fully compressed. So I took that number and made it to 0.01 positive. And what's happening there is my calculations of how far it's going to squat. It should probably squat about half a degree in, so you're going to end up at negative 0.4, which isn't too bad. You know, we're going to have to go on the road or like to the drag strip and actually test to see how far it's squatting, but we needed a base to start, so then we can actually improve this number even better. And this number is going to be 0.18 by the time we re-roll it. We're going to re-roll it a bunch of times. We're going to bounce it up and down, make sure that the whole car is settled out, because we have brand new suspension, and we're gonna have the brand new suspension, and so these numbers are gonna change very slightly and things are gonna settle out, you know. So this is probably not gonna be the last alignment. We're probably gonna do quite a few more as we're gonna improve these numbers and improve how far we actually need to squat, if we need to add droop to the coilovers. But this is my basic setup for this car that we will run. And yeah, anyways, we'll take it out to the drag strip, see if we can improve anything, and we'll take actual measurements on how far that wheel's squatting down and to see what we need to change. And hopefully you enjoyed this video of our basic setup and how we start the alignment process. Anyways, we're in and we're checking out.
Launch control is pretty aggressive. It's 22 pounds.
Is it? Not bad.
Yeah, with more prep and then burnout.
Yeah.
Look, it's like a stop spinning, it keeps going.
Yeah. So this is it for our Z. We got our good base alignment settings, and seems pretty good. Just under a light launch, and yeah, we'll improve more next Wednesday. We're gonna hit the track.